The boys on the steps of their new school in 1908 probably weren't thinking much about the 21st century, but their parents might have been pleased to know that 100 years later, the school they built was still the center of education in Linwood. To set the stage for the history of our beloved Belhaven, it might help to present a snapshot of the community which built what its first principal described as a handsome new building. In 1900, Linwood Borough was 11 years old, and it was basically two towns in one. The northern section was called Leedsville, after the Leeds family store on Shore Road near Maple Avenue. The southern end of town was called Seaview, so named, according to legend, because you could see the ocean from the back porch of Hegarty's store. The Shore Road had been a major north-south route since 1716. This photo is a rare view of the road through Linwood in 1903. Trolley tracks down the center were a critical transportation link for everyone. Skulls Bay and Patcon Creek, Linwood's eastern and western borders, were both early sites for shipbuilding. A bridge across Patcon Creek at Central Avenue created Linwood's first road for east-west travel. A bridge at Ocean Heights Avenue in 1819 ended shipbuilding on the creek, but created a second route for people traveling west. Churches on each of these busy roads were built by leaders of Linwood's maritime community. The Ocean Heights Church was even nicknamed the Old Mariners' Church. On the east, Skulls Bay was the site of a colonial shipyard, and an active baymen's industry continued there until the 1930s, when the oyster beds collapsed. From the earliest days, farming was as important as the maritime trades. Well into the 20th century, survival for many families depended on growing crops and raising farm animals. Larger farms, like the Dennis Farm and Crumb's Market Gardeners, were actually commercial enterprises. A look at Linwood at the dawn of the 20th century would show a town of around 500 people, with much of the land used for farms. Supplies were delivered to town by rail. By 1902, public utilities like gas, electric, water, telephone, and transportation services were in place or in the planning stages. It was a quiet, rural community with no police or fire department, 3 churches, a post office, and a few grocery stores scattered throughout town. There was a mayor and borough council, but day-to-day operations were conducted by a district clerk, whose duties included the Board of Education. There were 2 schools, numbered 19 and 20, when Linwood was part of Egg Harbor Township. They became Linwood Schools 1 and 2 when the borough was created in 1889. School number 1 was built in 1873 and referred to in borough records as the Linwood School. It was originally 1 room, but by 1900 it was divided in half with 2 teachers. Howard McConnell was principal from 1901 to 1907 and taught the upper grades, called the grammar grades. Miss Lizzie English began teaching in 1868 and came to Linwood in 1903. She stayed long enough to teach at Belhaven in its opening year. School number 2 was the Seaview School on Ocean Heights Avenue by the railroad tracks. School registers show that students here were from Linwood, Seaview, Summers Point, and Steelmanville. Staff turnover at Seaview was high, probably because most of the teachers here were male. In those days, many men left teaching for other careers after a short time. Zilpha Brandis was the only female teacher at Seaview in its last 20 years. She was a college graduate and a woman with a forceful personality. In 1906, she wrote to the board complaining about the lack of respect for her position.
I have heard several times that the principal of number 1 school claimed supervision of school number 2. of which I am teacher. The principal has never exercised any supervision, at least not over me. If he is supervising principal, the board may consider my position here vacant, as I will not teach under any supervisor whose qualifications are not superior to mine. Zilpha Brandis, October 9, 1906.